Hey, it's Angie from Organic Plant Magic. And if you've been following along, I'm sure you've noticed that we are super into composting. And why not? If you can avoid adding more junk into the landfills and ending up with some really good plant food, why not compost? But I have been noticing that there's a lot out there talking about what you can and cannot compost. And I want to let you know that it actually is meant to be easy. And there's probably quite a few things that you do throw away that you could toss right into your compost bin, even your worm bin. So have no fear. I think it's meant to be a lot simpler than it is. So things like garlic, onions, ginger, avocado pits, yeah, all of those things definitely might be, a little confusing, but there's no reason for it to be. So if you've read our recent blog post about the 11 things that you'd be surprised you can toss into your compost, I cannot wait to share a little bit more about that with you. Things like coffee grounds, tea bags, paper towels, yes, they can all be added into your compost bin, even your worm bin. The good news is worms love organic matter, and a lot of that stuff is, and we end up wasting it for no reason. So, healthy compost starts with 4 parts brown matter and 1 part green matter. Brown matter is the part that adds carbon to our compost. Brown matter are the drier items like leaves and paper products and crunchier, bigger things that do take a little bit of time to break down. But if you just think about brown being dry, that's your brown matter. So that's 4 parts in your compost. And the next part is your green matter. Green matter adds nitrogen to your compost, which is really essential. But with too much green matter, you're gonna end up with stinky, kind of slimy, really wet compost, and that is no good. So green matter are your moister, wetter items like, say, your salad greens or those rotten tomatoes or even that slimy onion that you found in the bottom of your, your pantry. So those are your green items. And it's essential that all of that is actually in balance. So once you kind of get that down pat, and whatever composting system you're using, if it's a worm bin, a tumbler, a clothesbin, even a little tiny one that's on your kitchen counter, you can get in the rhythm of creating amazing compost. But like I said, there's a list out there of many things people say you're not supposed to compost, and I'm pretty sure you actually can compost any plant matter for the most part. However, there are a few things I would say to stay away from. Things like animal products should not go in your compost bin. Not only are they high in fat and protein and take longer to break down, but they can attract some, unwanted nighttime visitors who do like, meat and things like that. So I'd also say to avoid dairy, and that includes butter and even some things that you might have cooked in butter and added cheese to. Probably not the smartest idea to add into your compost bin. And you can avoid adding pet waste. I'm not a huge fan of that, so if you can keep that out of there. However, if you are raising livestock, a little bit of a different story, but that's a different topic for a different day. And I would avoid adding any chemical laden, lawn clippings. That's always a bad idea. We don't really want to add more chemicals into our compost, all considering our compost is meant to feed our plants, which are meant to feed us, and also just keep that healthy balance in our environment. So on our list of 11 things that you might be throwing away that you could compost, coffee grounds. Yes, coffee grounds are amazing for compost, super high in nitrogen, and contrary to popular belief, they are not high in acidity, or I should say low pH acidic. But anyway, they're not. It's the coffee that's acidic. Coffee grounds are amazing, and they actually do support the growth of our beneficial microorganisms. So coffee's in, tea bags. If you're throwing those tea bags away, please don't. You might want to check if your tea bags are made of paper or plastic. That is one little tidbit. And if they are made of plastic, simply rip them open and dump that tea right into your kitchen scraps. Paper products, this is one of my favorite. Toilet paper rolls, paper towels, napkins, even boxes that are not dyed or printed on are totally compostable. And at the end of this video, I'm just gonna give you a little bit tidbit about some of these items that are a little heavier and hard to break down, because there is a way to get these guys to break down a lot easier. So paper products, totally toss them in there. Citrus, that includes lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruits. Yes, there's a lot of debate out there. Oh, don't throw that in your compost bin. Yep, you can throw it in. It's plant matter. So sometimes it might be a little offensive because of the oil in the skin, but that is totally okay. And also, sometimes the skin does take a little bit longer to break down, but we're gonna cover that at the very end. Those are all safe to toss in there. And what about garlic? Yes, you can compost garlic. It might even keep away some of the visitors. Same with onions, they're in the same family as garlic. So go ahead, toss them in there and see what happens. And ginger. Ginger is another one that can totally be added to your compost bin. Yes, it's a little strong and it's very fibrous, but once again, there's a way to get around that. And avocados. Yes, I have picked many an avocado shell out of my finished compost, and that's totally okay. Same with the pits. So with that being said, some of those that are a little harder to break down, here's the trick. Chop it up. Chop it up, blend it up. You can even throw it in your food processor if you really are ambitious. But chopping everything up a little bit finer, smaller pieces, helps compost break up a lot quicker. So that is the biggest tidbit when composting. Larger pieces takes longer to decompose, smaller pieces are quicker. So with those harder to decompose items like lemon rinds, orange rinds, any of our citrus rinds, avocado shells, avocado pits, chop them up. The smaller the better. Same with some of the paper that you might want to throw into your compost bin. Chop it up. The microbes and heat will take care of it from there. Now, here's another little thing. If you have a worm bin, some of those items I mentioned might be a little offensive. Things like garlic, onion, ginger, and any of the more stinky things. But anyway, if you have a worm bin, the best way to take care of your worms is to test them. Some of those stronger items might be a bit offensive. And red worms, the worms that are in your worm bin, are top feeders. So if they tend to avoid what you've put in there and it's still there and nobody's hanging out around it, that's some insight that they're not enjoying what you just fed them. So when you're going to try to see if they like garlic or onions or citrus, test them. Take a small amount of it, chop it up, put it in one corner of your worm bin, and if they avoid it, simply remove it. No need to irritate them, and carry on. If you have another compost bin, you can throw it in there, and if not, totally understandable that you might need to throw it in your green waste or in your trash can. So there you have it, all those little myths debunked. There's no reason to get too technical, but I do want to let you know that a lot of things are compostable. And with a little bit of insight and a little bit of how to, you can be a composting master too. Have a great day.